Congress passes most significant gun reform bill in decades, sends it to Biden. CNBC story. Scrambling to respond to a recent spat of bloody gun massacres, U.S. lawmakers passed the most significant federal gun restrictions in decades on Friday, following years of false starts and failures to tighten gun laws. Following Senate passage, late Thursday, the House passed a bipartisan bill that takes steps to restrict gun access to younger buyers, domestic violence offenders, and others who could pose a risk to their communities. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act also would fund the school safety and mental health programs. The House approved it by 243 to 193 as 14 Republicans joined all Democrats. The legislation heads to President Biden, who's expected to quickly sign it into law. Is this progress?
I think that the passing of these laws, attacking not the problem, but the popularity of the shock of this thing. You have securing schools. That's a no-brainer. We should have been doing that for the last 20 years. My daughter's a school teacher. I have done the security survey pro bono for every school that she ever worked or led. And they're buttoned down, and you have police officers. It's just we're fighting a political battle where it should be a moral battle, in my opinion. We have the right to defend ourselves. I believe that investing in mental health, I think that's a very important one.
What does that mean, though? So that word, investing in mental health, unpack that.
We have to keep it. It's the see something, say something concept translated into this. I don't remember where the place was, but the second to last incident that we had, the perpetrator, he went to school for a whole week wearing a hazmat suit. Is that a normal behavior, or is that should you not look into a pattern of behavior? It's a thin line, because you also have what you just said, which I totally agree with. You're innocent until proven guilty. So,
what do you think, Roger?
I'm afraid that as he said earlier, I'm not sure any of those things are going to change anything. Criminals will always find guns.
Absolutely.
And it is the cities with the most restrictive gun policies in the country where gun violence is the greatest. In the case of the Parkland shooter, there were no less than 7 calls to this guy's house. That never seemed to get over to the FBI. He had been Baker acted. He'd been taken involuntarily. They gave him psychotropic drugs, and they put him back out on the street, and he killed people. So I agree with what he said. I think there has to be a greater emphasis on mental health. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Criminals, miscreants, will always get their hands on guns.
Mm-hmm. What does Frances always say about gangsters and mafioso types? What just happened to the audio?
Yeah, exactly what he just said. The fact that they'll get their hands on guns, but you know, like the left and the right has bullet points of 3 things that everybody says, and everybody keeps saying it. Invest into mental health. Okay, I've heard a billion people say invest into mental health. You know, do this, do that. The other day we were talking with Michael Francis, and we said even if they raise the what do you call it?
Age limit to 18 to 21.
Even if they make this, even if they do that, even if they do this, 90% of the, what do you call it, mass shootings would have been prevented. Even if they do that, it would have been prevented, because they still got, some of them, their guns, they got it illegally, or some of them, they got it. Even the kid who got it, he wasn't on any kind of medication that's anxiety medication or anything like that. So how much of that is, you know, deeper that's going on within America's values and principles and morals? How much of that is the amount of drugs that's in the hands of kids, with big pharma advertising the solution being take this medicine, take this medicine, take this medicine? How much of it is the video games? How much of it is us watching on TV that over and over and over again, they keep turning these guys that are doing mass shootings into heroes, and we keep talking about them? There has to be something, because even this strategy on what they're going to be doing, 90-something% of them would have been prevented. So does anybody really know the solution, or is it just pure political game that both sides are playing? What do you think?
There's no question that had the police officers, either in Texas or in Parkland, done their jobs, that those mass shootings could have been prevented. Ironically, here in Parkland, the officer in charge of school security trained others in crisis management, but then when the time came, he stepped down. He didn't do his job.
So how do you so think about that? So he did the training, and then when it came down to it, still didn't do it.
He froze.
He froze. So again, so then what is the solution? Because if we say we need more training, okay, we did, and even the training that was done, it still didn't happen. So does anybody really have the solution that's going to help address this?
It's a combination. It has to be a combination of things. Buttoning down the schools is something that it's a reality. You cannot, in good conscience, bring children and put them into that environment unless you're able to protect them. But one thing that we haven't talked about here is how many police officers feel empowered under this administration, under this current culture, where they're being defunded. They're always guilty until proven innocent, if at all possible. Don't get me wrong, I've been in harm's way more than once, so I know what it is to go to a door and go, but I've gone through the door. And that was their job to do. But again, there's not 100% fix for any of this. It's 5% here, 5% mental health, button down the schools, better training for the police, but also consequences. There's got to be consequences. These police officers that did not go in there should be kicked out of the force. Because if you are in an airborne unit in the military and you decide not to jump on a combat, guess what? You're going to jail. So we need to make them accountable for that mistake.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.